Welcome back, YouTube. So in this video, I wanted to talk about whether or not we hit those numbers. We're looking at roughly a 48-hour projection starting on Sunday, where we should get some definite answers, hopefully by today. That would be the close of those candles as to whether or not we were going to break trend and establish some higher highs. And looking at the charts here, we're going to take a look at them together, but we are walking on some very thin ice when it comes to hitting those critical pinpoints. So, well, pivotal points. So if we're looking here, we needed 22,781 and we got several rejections here and we got a small closure about 90 bucks above it on Bitcoin. And then immediately we close below it and we have a red candle here closing below it. So a very weak attempt at this, breaking this resistance here. So we're definitely going to need to retest that to establish a level of strength to get an indicator as to whether or not we're going to continue this uptrend and go and retest that 25. So that was extremely weak here, a weak retest on Bitcoin's part. And Dogecoin is even more interesting. Again, this is just a short-term time frame. We're gonna we should have some definite answers here within the next 24 to 48 hours. I just did not think that it would kind of come down to walking this line. I'm going to zoom in so you can see just how close we are on this line. So these are the rejections we're getting. This is what technically we're going to have to, this would invalidate the trend, obviously closing above this line here. And then of course we would need to retest somewhere around, if you look at the crosshairs, like roughly where my crosshairs are, that's kind of where we would need to retest to break trend and consider, and that's what brings that 1118 mark into play. But look at this line here. This is really, really close. These retests and all that kind of stuff like that. And as you know, don't read this candle wrong. This is an open and this is a close here. So we have not closed above this line here. And again, this could be, marginal error and stuff like that. And let's just say that if I move this down 2 centimeters or something like that, it doesn't change the fact that this is a very weak retest, similar or identical to what's going on with Bitcoin. So this does not pretty much count as a strong break as far as from this mark here to consider this 1118 run. That's kind of what we need to establish that higher high, that retest, break, get the 1118, potentially see if we're going to consolidate somewhere in here. And then of course these higher numbers at that point come into play. That's what I've been talking about over the last few videos. So we're looking at some very weak retest here. So we're going to have to retest these levels and build up some strength. And again, this is not a knock saying that this trend has been invalidated or anything like that. You'll see rest. You don't want every day to be green. That's how you get these gap ups. And that's kind of what brings these numbers in the conversation, is because of these gaps here. You can say, okay, well, we can fill this gap. So these assets taking breaks or taking these consolidations, stuff like that, that's not it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely something to kind of pay attention to. And if you hadn't seen my last video previous to this one, I titled it "Uh-oh," and it's going over the breakdown of the Jerome Powell, and it's kind of taking a look at the longer term time frame in the macros and just kind of the state of the market for the rest of the year. So that would be a good listen if you're looking at long term here. This is more of the short term catalyst, but this is just something we're going to have to watch over the next day or so to see if we're going to invalidate these trends. Maybe we will by the time this video comes out. It's a little after midnight on East Coast time right now. So maybe by the time you're watching this video, maybe we'll have retested or invalidated this trend. But as of right now, this is what we're looking at. We're going to need, for this candle, we're looking at about 878 or higher to kind of break above it. And because if we keep retesting this here, this is just going to strengthen this this downward angle here, and we could potentially see, especially if we don't get a breakup in the macros. Obviously, we'll see what Bitcoin does, and this can kind of push us into like another slanted consolidation. But we'll see. And again, ultimately, that's what we're going to have to look for over the short-term time frames here, 24, 48 hours, and see if we're going to build up strength. Bitcoin's in the exact same situation. I'll take a look here at shorts, see if they're playing any games. No, not really. Not really. So yeah, this is, I don't want to say organic, but it's certainly not a lot of foul play. Like this hasn't spiked like with these purchases here and these huge candles to heaven and stuff like that. So yeah, so we're definitely going to have to kind of wait and see how this plays out for the short term time frame. So I'll say maybe like another day or so. But the way that we're retesting both in Bitcoin and Doge, these are very weak retests. So you're going to have to certainly have some retests here that are a little bit stronger to get an indication of market trend. Otherwise, it's still going to kind of be in like a neutral. And even if you have like investors, swing trades and stuff like that, that's not going to be a strong enough signal for people to go out and start betting money. So it's kind of going to be like a, really like a wait and see mode. So just going to keep that in mind as something that we're going to look for short-term time frames over the next day or so. That is my price update. If you like the video, share, subscribe to the channel, like it, all that good stuff. If you want to hear more from me, check out Mumu in the description section. Get up to 15 free stocks when you open a new account. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you in the next video.
Try it.